Hey everybody, it's Cauliflower Man here, and today I am bringing you a gameplay of Overwatch. Now, in this gameplay, I'm focusing on the healer Mercy, and Mercy is my favorite healer. Part of it is due to the fact that I really feel like a lot of people don't play Mercy correctly. There's two things that I really don't like. Well, actually, there's more than two things, but there's a lot of things I don't like about the way other people play Mercy, and so a lot of the times I just play Mercy so that other people won't. Secondly, I play on console, and everyone who makes YouTube videos talks about how good Anna is, or Anna, whatever you want to say her name actually is, Anna Amari or whatever. Anna is no good on console, and I don't mean she's terrible, but I've played at a high level, and every time I have an Ana on our team, we've almost always lost, and I can beat Ana's healing as a Zenyatta almost all the time, so I just don't see why people play her. I really feel like she ruins your team, and the main reason is just because on console it's a lot harder to aim, and so people don't realize that, so they watch people Frito or whoever it is on YouTube, and I really like those guys, but they talk specifically about PC, and PC is way different than console. It's not even close to the same. I mean, it is sort of, but the meta changes completely just because the aim is much harder. But the things that I see Mercy screw up all the time is, one, they don't ultimate often enough, and even though I say that, I don't think in either of these clips I use one ultimate. But secondly, if they do try and focus on that ultimate, a lot of times they just let their team die, and I can understand backing out of the front lines so that you're still alive, but you shouldn't just hide. Like, I see Mercy's hide all the time, and that's a stupid thing to do, because you can give an enemy team just so much ultimate charge, as well as just giving them a huge advantage. So a lot of times before I ultimate, I might sort of back out of the way and sort of be hidden somewhat, but I'm still trying to heal my people as much as, humanly possible. But then finally, whenever you follow someone in and you dive in with them, you have to turn around and look at the rest of your team. If you went back and watched when I dive in with my Roadhog, or not Roadhog, my Reinhardt there, immediately I turn around and look at the rest of my team, and that's because you can heal people as long as your healing stream is on someone. You can turn around and you don't have to face them, and if you do that, that allows you to be able to dive in back with the rest of your team, and so that's really that's the way I like to use her. You dive in one direction, and then you look the other way, and you just dive as far as you can in the other direction, because if people are trying to focus you, it's easy for them to focus you if you stay in one area, but if you keep going back and forth to the opposite edges of the map, they're going to have no chance at taking you out. And so as you can see, I have a Resurrect here, and what a lot of people would have done at that point is they would have just backed up and hidden, because we had enough people there that we could have gotten a Resurrect and potentially won it. But with a Mercy, if you're doing if you're flying around well enough and keeping them from killing you, you really only need 3 teammates, and you can basically wipe the enemy team so long as you heal correctly. And so again, I don't really focus on playing to get those sweet revives. I focus on playing to get as much healing as possible. Our Pharah right there went up and used her ultimate, got 2 kills, which is pretty good. Unfortunately, we had a bunch of people die, which that's not all that great, but because we just took the enemy team's capture point here at the beginning, we were able to spawn real close. So if you've just taken a capture point, that's the time when you want to push ahead, just because you got a spawn advantage. Right now, obviously, we don't want to do that. As you can see, our Pharah is kind of far up there, but she's a flanker. That's what she's supposed to do. And then right here, notice how the Zenyatta uses his ultimate, so I know everyone by me is going to get healed, so I immediately just dash up there to get our Pharah. Always pay attention to what your team is doing as a Mercy. That's how you win. And then the next thing that I want to talk about is, notice how when our squishies get low, I go after them first, and then I go to the tanks, and that's simply because a tank at half health has more than double. They have 2.5 times as much health as most squishies do, so you don't really need to remember how much of a percentage of the total health bar that somebody has. What you really need to remember is how much health that character has in general, and then figure it out in your head, by looking at their health bar, and then focus on keeping people as high health as they can in terms of their total health, not in terms of their percentage of health. And as you can see, I didn't use my Resurrect until that last second. Obviously, if it would have went longer, I would have had a chance to do it, but I just didn't. And this match right here, I start off as a Symmetra. I'm not going to talk about Symmetra. I'll just talk more about Mercy's Resurrect and why it's a terrible, terrible, terrible idea to wait on it. The reason is that if you just wait on Mercy's Resurrect, the thing that happens is when you resurrect people, um, they're at a disadvantage to the other team. The other team knows who's getting resurrected, and they're just sort of frozen there for a second. So if you wait and you resurrect everybody and they're not getting healing while the other team has healing, the other team's going to beat you every time, and that's going to look real cool for your resurrects and total players resurrected, but it's going to kill your team every single time. And again, that's just because of the fact that your team has no control of what the enemy team is doing while they get resurrected, so they're always at a disadvantage after they get resurrected. So you don't want to resurrect someone after your team's just been wiped. If the enemy team has a full team. I'm not saying don't do it, I'm saying that's a terrible time to have to use your Resurrect. The best time to use your Resurrect is after your team has just taken out the other team, because then they're not in any trouble. So if you're in there healing the whole time, as long as you're dashing between your allies correctly, you really shouldn't be dying. And so as long as you're able to keep yourself alive, if you use the Resurrect later, it's far better than using it earlier, especially just because of all that extra healing that you're going to get in. But secondly, because then your team's going to be at an advantage when you use the Resurrect. You don't want to use the Resurrect at a huge disadvantage. Although it looks cool, like if you go out there and you don't heal your team, generally speaking, your team might get one pick and then they're going to get wiped. Then you Resurrect, but you're still not able to heal your team until you get back into view, and then your team's just going to get screwed after they get resurrected. So what I will do is sometimes, like before I know I'm going to use a Resurrect, I'll sort of hide behind a wall, but within range that I can help heal one person, or if I need be, peek around the corner and heal everybody else, especially if we're going to win without me having to use the Resurrect, because then I'll just save it. But you don't want to just completely back out and hide in a corner. There are certain times when you do want to hide in a corner, and that's when you know your team's going to lose and you're just going to get crushed, and you know that you as the Mercy is going to get crushed if you go out there. Like let's say there's a Junkrat ultimate, then hide in a corner away from your team, hope the Junkrat tries to go for as many of your teammates as possible or something, although generally speaking they'll shoot down the Junkrat ultimate. But if they don't and the Junkrat gets like a quad kill but you're hiding in a corner, then that's a good decision. But otherwise, you generally speaking want to be in there healing your team. If you want to stay alive for that Resurrect, like I said, just stay on the peripherals of the battle. Don't jump in there right in the center, but never on your life just hide in a corner and let your team die. That's a terrible way to do it. Or never do that if you can help it. Like I said, if there are some cases where it is best, but it's very rare, and if you find yourself doing that all the time, you should probably quit playing Mercy. Notice again how as soon as I get in there and I realize I'm in trouble, I'm looking for a way out, and I see it with our Pharah right there. Unfortunately, they were able to crush basically all of our team, and so as of right now, I'm just trying to help damage boost our Pharah and hoping we can get a couple picks. As you can see, we don't have very much time. We only have to get it to the first point, so that means we don't have to do very much damage. I heard our Winston get hooked. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to save him, and then it looks like they get our Lucio too. I think our Lucio was deep in there, I just didn't see him. So that's not really good at all. As you can see, we're at a disadvantage right now. There's only 40 seconds left. The only good thing is that we haven't used any ultimates, so we've got that going for us, but that's really not a great, like if that's your only advantage is you have ultimates, that's not a great advantage. As you can see, again, I dive in and dive out, and I was able to keep our Winston alive. I try and do it again, but I didn't notice there was a Bastion there, and then he just melts me so quick that there's nothing that I could really do. So I guess if there's a Bastion, sometimes you'll get caught diving in and out, but otherwise it's very hard for people to kill you that quickly. But as you can tell, we got 10 seconds left. Things are not looking good, so I put some healing on that Winston, and then I see that Pharah up there, and I know that she's our only chance to get the Bastion, and I thought she was going to die, but luckily our Lucio was able to use his ultimate, and then both Pharahs use their ultimates. Their Pharah does a good job of taking me out first, but luckily the rest of our team is able to focus down their team before the match ends, and so we're able to pull out that win. But again, with Mercy, don't worry so much about big revives. It's about staying alive and healing your team as much as possible.